Alrighty, welcome to our webinar, guys. Welcome. Hope you guys, just before we get started, let me know that you guys can actually hear me okay. That you guys can hear me loud and clear. Cool. Awesome. So I can see we got the UK in the house. We got, Cyprus in the house. Australia in the house. Got a whole bunch of people here. So we're about to rock and roll, guys. I'm about to share my screen with you. So just let me know that you can actually see my screen. So bring it up 1 second. There you go. Okay. So can you guys see the screen nice and clear? Perfect. Awesome. So welcome, guys. I just got back from an amazing trip, actually. And let me just close the chat. I'm going to close the chat for a little bit. Just got back from an amazing trip. Literally just the other day, we were over in China and Fiji. The RMD trip was in Fiji, and a few days ago we actually got an invitation to go to China for a very exclusive VIP event organized by the company. This was top secret for a while, and you're going to hear a lot about this trip over the next few days. But essentially, they hand-selected less than about 100 of the top leaders from World Ventures from around the world. So we had a lot of our leaders fly in from Greece. We had from Cyprus. Matt Morris came from the US, along with Jefferson Santos. The Chief Visionary Officer, Wayne Nugent, came on this trip as well. You can actually see him there on the left. The CEO of the company, Dan Stamen, that's him standing right there, along with one of our top leaders, Jetta, who's an IMD from northern Greece. She's the fastest IMD, along with Razvan, to hit IMD in the 18 months, fastest ones in Europe. And they had selected all these leaders to go. Essentially, they put together this amazing dream trip for us. This was off the charts. We went to a beautiful 5-star hotel. Every single day they were doing tours and activities for us, from morning till night. So we went to places like the Forbidden City, went to a traditional Chinese restaurant. Then another night they brought us to a Mongolian restaurant as well. And the finale was going to the Great Wall of China. So we got a little bit of a test of the Great Wall of China, because the Great Wall of China is, I got two reports, one that is 6,000 kilometers long and another one that is 7,000 kilometers long. Either or, they're both very long. Okay, so we probably walked maybe like a couple of kilometers or something like that. So that was the finale, and this is the picture of everyone there, as you can see in front of the Great Wall of China. So this is something, we haven't opened China, but this is something that the company is working on, and the event was done in goodwill to show the gesture to China that we want a closer correlation over the next few years. And we went straight from Beijing and we went on the RMD trip. So this is basically a picture of all our leaders from our team that made it on the RMD trip. We had a lot of leaders, guys, that this was their first RMD trip. In fact, you can see from the left, we have the Australian leaders. We had Michael Sloggett, Gary, and Shane, and Lou Hardy. The first time they came to on the RMD trip. It's actually interesting that Shane, this is his first RMD trip, and he's already NMD, very close to IMD. And a lot of our leaders as well from northern Greece, Caesar, Laurentio, Luminitsa. We had Giorgio from Cyprus, Jetta and Razvan, Christy. So a lot of our amazing leaders. A few leaders couldn't make it, but all in all, now in our leadership team, guys, we got 36 RMDs, which is phenomenal. And for those of you guys that are brand new and you're watching this webinar, RMD stands for Regional Marketing Director. It is one of the highest levels of the company. The average earnings at RMD is about $250,000 US on a yearly basis. And on top of that, the company gives you $1,000 a month towards a car of your choice. And they also put on this trip once a year. Last year we were in Hawaii. This year we're in, I was going to say Bora Bora, but that's not yet. Fiji, Bora Bora's on the cards for next year. It hasn't been finalized yet, but there's been talks of Bora Bora, which would be unbelievable. And the company really goes all out. I mean, this was the resort in Fiji that they took us to. We had a beautiful villa. Every single day they had fun activities for us. Every single day we would get back to our room and we would have a present on our bed, you know. Little presents, big presents. They went all out with that. And, you know, we did things like going on the Cloud 9, which is a bucket list experience. It's a beautiful bar in the middle of the ocean, as you can see there on the top right-hand corner. We did zip lining. I'm there with Gary, one of our regional marketing directors here from Australia. So this trip was unbelievable, guys. It was off the charts. And we're actually very, very excited because we got the pleasure. I got a special guest here for you guys. Sharon is all the way from South Africa, guys. You can see her in the picture on the right-hand side. Sharon's a regional marketing director with World Ventures. In fact, she joined 5 years ago, I believe. Yes. She joined 5 years ago, and she's got a very, very powerful story. When she joined World Ventures, she was literally homeless, single mom, 2 kids, living in her car. So sometimes we come across people that have challenges. And I mean, I don't know anybody else, I mean, that literally started with such big challenges. Talk about going against the current. But you know what they say, adversity causes some people to break and some people to become record breakers. And Sharon is one of those people that is a record breaker. So despite the challenges that she has, she saw this as her way out. She started with World Ventures and within 13 months hit the level of regional marketing director, is now traveling the world, inspiring hundreds and thousands of people around the world with her story. And we've got the pleasure of having her here. So what I'm going to do, so I'm going to take it off the slide now. I'm going to turn on the video and I'm going to get, sorry, you guys can hang out. You know? I got a little audience happening here. So, 1 second. Okay. So there you go, guys. You know, there's a few people here. Now you guys can come and say quick hello to everybody. We've got people from all around the world. Hey. There you are as well. Oh my God, we got double whammy, guys. We got Sharon and we got Colette, the lady that took this concept to Zimbabwe. So what I'm going to do actually is, if I can, Mel, can I get one of these chairs? Another one of these chairs? Mel's not even in here. So I'm going to actually interview both of them. So you guys thought we had one special guest, but you know what? You got an awesome dude because we got 2 special guests. All right. So first, I'm going to start off with Sharon. So Sharon, obviously, you know, we've got a whole bunch of people here that are on this webinar. They're from Cyprus, Greece, the UK, from Australia, all around the world. And I'm going to turn off the chat. 1 second. So, you know, from your experience, obviously, what was going on through your mind, you know, when you got given the opportunity, you know, the challenges that you were facing at the time, what was going on through your mind when this opportunity came and knocked on your door?
Well, great question, Efrosyni. And first of all, thank you so much for having me on this call. I'm so excited. I wish I could see you all, but this is just such a blessing to be here. And I'm so excited to be in Perth, of course. But if I think back then, and it was just over 5 years ago, for me it was probably something that most people go through. Is this real? Is it possible? Can I do it? Mm-hmm. Because for me, I was not in a good place, like you mentioned. So there were a couple of things. However, because I have a background in tourism, I owned a travel company for 24 years. I knew how vast this industry was. And I also understood the field of network marketing. So put the two of them together just made sense to me.
Yeah.
But still, there's always that will I be able to do it? And you look at, back then I was privileged to have been presented the opportunity by Jefferson Santos. And I was like, well, can I be like him? Yes, he's achieved success. Maybe it's because he got in the beginning. And all those things go through your mind until you actually sit down and understand how simple this concept is and follow the steps given by the company. There's a reason they put systems in place and trainings in place. And then it really became easy to go, right, this is the first step. I need to get signed up. Okay. Second step, I need to go show a couple of people, get my course so there's not that monthly fee. And for me, that was critical because I couldn't afford the monthly fee. And then, of course, get my money back by getting 2 more and then keep on going. So,
So how quickly did you actually go get your 4 and go get your 6?
I got my 4 in my first week.
Nice.
Purely because I had borrowed the money to get in and I couldn't afford the monthly fee. It was as simple as that. So for me, it was a financial thing. I'm always honest. I joined World Ventures for the money. Yeah. It's no longer about the money. But so I went out and I did it, and I did it with a massive sense of urgency. Yeah. And that's what I kind of teach my team around the globe now. If you have that sense of urgency, rather than doing it slow, to me, slow is painful, to be quite honest. Rather just do it consistent and get the job done. So, I'm kind of there now. I've been at RMD for a while. I need to get the job done and get to RMD. Yeah,
absolutely. So if you got someone that's starting, let's say they've seen the presentation, and I'm sure that, we've got a lot of people that sometimes come across this objection of, well, I want to do it, but I don't have the money to get started. So what do you tell those people considering your story?
I love that question. I mean, most people cringe when they hear that, but I get really excited. Because for me, it depends on how strong your why is. And most people hear that, you've got to have a huge why, and people don't actually understand what that means. But do you want to make a difference in your life, or do you want to be in this position? So if you were my prospect, for example, one of my team's prospects, there's different ways I would handle it. I kind of use the colors, red, green, blue, yellow. So I've built a bit of a relationship with you. And then I would say to you straight out, so Efrosyni, how old are you now? And you would say,
have to now, so.
Okay, so let's take
I was at 30s.
So 30, that's great. Are you telling me at the age of 30 that you don't have $511 to get registered?
No.
So I would kind of see where they're at. Do you know what I mean? If it's a money situation, like, do you want to be in the same position you are now? Do you and I, are we going to have the same conversation in 6 months' time or a year's time? Or are you going to go out and actually find the money? I share a quick story with them. I had no money. I borrowed the money. So who can we borrow the money from? I'm not saying get $511 from one person. Maybe it's a bit from your neighbor, a bit from your dad, a bit from a brother, whoever it is. And let's get you started. And if they turn around and go, well, I actually can't ask people to borrow money. I've kind of always borrowed money and no one else would lend me a cent anymore. Then I say, great, where do you live? I'm going to come round tonight and we're going to go through your garage, because I promise you there'll be something in your garage we can sell. And if you really want this and want the lifestyle and want what I have and all the other people that you've heard from tonight, we'll find something to sell and we'll get you started. And if you don't have something to sell before you even suggest that, I know you've got a big TV on the wall or some golf clubs. We'll sell it and we'll replace it and get an even bigger, better one in a month's time. How does that sound?
It's cool, actually. On that note, I remember that, and I'm not going to mention any names, but I remember I had this guy in my team once, and he was a personal of mine, and I actually loaned him the money to get started, which, guys, just so you know, I never, ever, 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 ever recommend loaning the money or actually giving the money for someone to get started. And personally, I don't do that, because I'll tell you what happened is I felt sorry for the guy, because I'd known him when he was making a lot of money, and, certain things happened in his business collapsed, and, he went from making $10,000 a month to, making $2,000 a month and then a little bit less. So I kind of felt for him because I was in a bit of a tough situation, and I loaned him the money to get started, and I went to his house to do a game plan with him. And I remember sitting there, and he had a big screen TV in his lounge room, big screen TV in his bedroom, and his little 4-year-old was walking around with an iPad.
Yeah.
I nearly turned around and smacked him. And I'm not saying smack your prospects, okay? I'm not endorsing smacking your prospects, okay? But the thing is, sometimes this whole don't have the money objection, sometimes it's a reality. I find that usually it's only 3% of the situation that it's actually a reality. You know, extreme cases, and I'd love to get Colette to talk about this as well, because, you know, Colette's from Zimbabwe. Average income in Zimbabwe, how much is it in Zimbabwe?
$300 to $400.
So $300 to $400 a month. So I can appreciate that in Zimbabwe, with $300 to $400 a month average income, there's going to be some people with, you know, a few $100 to get started. For us in Australia, it's easy. If you're talking in the British pound, it's even easier, okay? You know, if you're talking, obviously, in Zimbabwe, there's going to be some real challenges there. But 97% of the time, what I find is that it's actually a mindset. It's a story that a lot of people have been telling them over and over and over again. They've been telling that story to themselves for so long that they actually believe it.
Absolutely.
Right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Absolutely.
And guys, to introduce you here, so Colette, I remember meeting Colette in 2009. I remember going out to dinner with Johnny Wimbrew, and Johnny Wimbrew introduces me to Colette. And I remember the words that he said to me, actually. He said to me, you're going to meet this lady. She's very dynamic. She's very similar to you. And he said, she wants to do in Cyprus, she wants to do in Zimbabwe what you did in Cyprus. I'm like, okay, cool. So we just connected. We kind of hit it off straight away. And I mean, this lady went and literally, I mean, how long did it take you to launch this in Zimbabwe?
About 2.5 years.
Okay, so 2.5 years of her pushing to get the country launched. And the unemployment rate in Zimbabwe is something ridiculous,
Over
right?
90%.
So over 90%. So the average salary is about $300 to $400 a month. That's for the 10% of the population that even have a job, okay?
Yes.
And the other 90% of the population essentially needs to get creative about creating an income, because, you know, chances are they don't have a job. So in your case, how did you deal with that particular objection? And also, what did you do as the steps in order to launch a market and get it to the point where, you know, you've got another RMD over in Zimbabwe, you've got some marketing directors, you've got leadership all around the world now. So what did you do in order to kick things off in Zimbabwe?
Okay, initially, because we were still trying to launch it, we just got paper applications, you know, to say to people, if we were open, would you be willing to sign up?
Right.
And we just did that for the 2.5 years that we were trying to get it launched. Wow. And we had meetings once a week and then went to twice a week, and we just kept going and just saying to people, when we open, you know, if you're ready, you know, just sign this application form. And that's what we did. And we ended up getting like 700 applications over the 2.5 years. Needless to say, when we actually did open, only about 10% of those people actually signed up. So we almost had to start from scratch all over again. So, you know, the money challenge is a real challenge back home. In some of our cases, people have been borrowing from people that they know. I think that's, you know, we have people that have borrowed, like, say, the $300. If they borrow $10 from 30 people, then they can get started. We also have people that put aside, we have a prepayment card, because we don't have access to credit at home either. So you can't say, you know, just slap it on my credit card, because we don't have credit cards. Everything that we do at home is paid for in cash. So we have a prepaid debit card, which, so the people will say, okay, we really want to do this, but we don't have the money right now. So we're going to put like $50 this month, $50 the next month. And they have a plan of how they're going to get there within a few months. And every time they get a little bit of extra money, then they put it back on the card until they get to a position where they actually are able to join and be a part of this club.
So I want to put things in perspective here a little bit, okay? Imagine working for 2.5 years for free.
Yeah.
I love sometimes, I was talking to another one of my leaders the other day, and he had one of his new personals cancel after a week because she did 10 presentations and only one person signed up, so she was disappointed, okay? And, you know, Byron Shrug is an amazing leader from the company, guys. And one of the things that he says, he goes, I love it when people take a few punches, because that's how you can identify who is the person that is really the leader, the person that deserves for you to work with them, the person that has the hunger and desire to go all the way. Okay, so this is when we talk about pioneers, when we talk about leaders, this is the leadership right here. Going from 2.5 years, doing presentations every single week, showing people, knowing that you're not going to get paid for your efforts, and you don't even know when the country is going to launch, okay? That's leadership. But now there's not many people around the world that don't know Colette's name, you know. And Colette's got a team over in the UK. She's got a team over here in Australia. You know, it's we work very closely with her family. It's one of our extended families, which is awesome. And if you guys are in the UK, you probably know a lot of her leaders in the UK. You know, like Aretha is actually a marketing director in Colette's team, to give you an idea. And Helen that's just recently reached marketing director as well. And we've got Marvelous. So there's some awesome leadership there. But it's the power of and the vision of one individual, someone that is basically not willing to settle for average. They're just willing to, you know, sacrifice things for a season, okay, now in order to be able to travel the world and be able to help other people to have a better quality of life. So I remember when you were sharing your story, Sharon, you said that you borrowed the money to get started, but you didn't just borrow the money to get started in World Ventures, right?
Yeah.
You borrowed some extra money. Correct?
That's correct. So I needed, at that stage, we didn't have gold and platinum yet, so 5 years ago. So I just needed $361.
Yeah.
I borrowed $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did was I paid for my mobile phone, my cellular phone, for 2 months. I'd have contact with my children at least. And then I bought a ticket to Las Vegas. And everybody laughed at me because you're dead broke and you're going to Vegas. But at that time, United was, you know, in Las Vegas. And that's what I did. I booked a ticket to the training event because I realized that if I needed to grow my business, I needed to grow my mind, but I'd also be surrounded with the top leadership of the company, as well as Wayne Nugent, and I needed to feed, you know, off their energy and be like a sponge and get all that information so that I could literally, you know, bucket it and take it back to South Africa and carry on and grow my business. And for myself, if I did not do that, I am 100% sure I wouldn't be where I am today, purely because the trainings are just, they're there for a reason, and a very specific reason, and they are every 3 months or so for a specific reason, and you've just got to plug yourself into the trainings. I have never, ever missed one training. I would never miss one training. So from the boot camps to Uniteds to Momentums, back then accelerations, RTEs, you know, I'm, you know, making sure that I'm in the training, because you can never, ever not learn something. I mean, the trainers just give you something different every time. Yeah. So that is purely, and I always talk about it, I built my business on event to event to event. Yeah, you've got boot camp coming up. We've just had boot camp in Africa, and that just skyrocketed everybody's business. So,
absolutely. And we just had boot camp in Europe as well. So now we had a whole bunch of people got to boot camp in Europe. And, you know, I remember the first time I actually met Colette was actually at a training. It was in 2010 with The View.
Yes.
In Dallas, I think I remember.
That actually was my very first event with World Ventures. And to go to The View as your first event, I mean, if you don't stay in World Ventures after that, then World Ventures is not for you. But since then, I have been to every single event. I will not miss an event at all. I've been to The View 8 times now. I did The View 3 times in 1 year, which is amazing. And I thought they were going to be very similar, but Marcus Setter is just in a class of his own.
Absolutely.
And each event, you know, something will happen, and you need to be in the room when your moment happens, because you never know when that moment is going to happen, when one of the trainers is going to say something that resonates just with you at that particular moment in your life. So
what was your moment, Colette? The moment that made you realize that this is it, you know, that you're going to take it all the way and help you to really shift your business? What was the moment for you?
I think the very first moment was probably seeing Johnny Wimbrey at the very first meeting that we had. Yeah. And, you know, if I said to myself, if people like Johnny and Matt and Mark were there as well, if people like them are behind this company, then this is the company that I want to be with for the rest of my life. And from then, I mean, every training after that, you get some extra nugget that just propels you even further.
Absolutely. Yeah. And guys, again, I know we got some new people on the webinar as well. For those of you guys that don't know Johnny Wimbrey, Johnny Wimbrey, just go to johnnywimbrey.com to give you an idea of the caliber that he is. He's a very well-known speaker. He personally works with Les Brown himself, to give you an idea. He's the kind of individual that goes and speaks into companies for like literally 40 minutes and charges anywhere between $40,000 to $60,000 just to speak for 40 minutes. And he put his speaking career on hold because of World Ventures. It's a double IMD with our company. That means he's reached the highest level in the company twice. And on top of that, he's $1 million ring earner. So, you know, he's someone that I respect very well. He's one of the reasons that I also joined World Ventures, and my brother George and Heather, that's how we came into the company. So Johnny Wimbrey, Matt Morris, go to mattmorris.com as well. They're two of our biggest mentors. These are the people that you definitely want to be following. What about you, Sharon? What was your moment?
My moment with absolute confidence was when I went to that event in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Wayne Nugent stood on stage and he looked down at thousands of us. There must have been about 3,500, 4,000 of us at that particular event.
And we thought that was a big event.
Yeah, we thought that was, I was like, wow. Now, I mean, we've just done Orlando with over 21,000. So Wayne Nugent looked sort of down on us from the angle he was at and said, "We will not put you first," pointing at all of us. And I found that like, oh, that's quite a strange comment to make. And he said, "And we won't put ourselves first." He said, "We put God first."
Mm.
And I am a Christian, and that just resonated with me. And I knew I'd come home.
Mm.
Right place, right time, right company, but right visionaries and management behind us. And you know, that was my defining moment, and I've never looked back. And I share that story all the time because I'm just so proud.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I'm in World Ventures, but World Ventures is in me, and that's really key.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, ladies, for your time. We're just going to wrap up the webinar shortly. So, guys, I'm just going to turn off the video for a sec. Just I'll put the slides back on. Hold on a second. Oh, and the slides disappear. There they are. Here we go. Right. So, guys, there you go. You heard it from two amazing ladies and their story. And I love what they said because literally there's no excuses. And I think Johnny Wimbrey says this a lot. He goes, there's either excuses or results. You can't have both. So you got to choose which one do you want more. Do you want the results or do you want to hold on to the excuses? So finalizing with this, guys, if you're in the UK, you're very lucky. You got the fastest IMD in Europe. It's going to be in London for a Super Saturday. Next Saturday. Tickets are only £20, which is ridiculous. I would literally pay hundreds to see Razvan. We had Razvan at the first Go IMD event that we had in Europe, and literally he had, when he finished doing his training over there, he got a standing ovation from everybody, and people wanted to carry him off the stage. Such a powerful trainer. He got to the level of IMD in 18 months. Okay, 18 months. So he's a true pioneer, and that's the kind of person that you want to get in front of. You don't want to just be in front of him, though. If I were you, I would be doing whatever it takes to get as many people. So between now and the training, get as many people in front of him as possible by taking as much action. If you're in Australia, we've got boot camp. So you heard Sharon talk about it earlier. You heard both ladies to say that the biggest event, that the biggest impact that they've actually ever had, the biggest impact that they ever had was actually from different trainings of the company. And if it wasn't for the trainings of the company, they wouldn't be here right now. And the other thing that you heard the ladies say was that essentially the key was building from event to event to event. So we got two phenomenal trainers. We got James Lee, who's the guy that is the pioneer, the equivalent of Colette for Zimbabwe. He's the pioneer for Asia. So he took this concept to Singapore, then later from Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Taiwan. Literally hundreds and hundreds of thousands of lives have been impacted because of this particular individual. He's a IMD $1 million ring earner. And then on the right, the founder of Rat Pack, one of the key founding members of the Rat Pack team, which stands for Retired at 20 something. So it gives you an idea, especially if you're in your 20s. But I guess even if you're in your 30s, Retired Rat Pack stands for that as well. But I had the pleasure of actually hanging out with a couple of the top leaders from Lorenzo's team. And I said to them, you know, how do you deal with people that are obviously older in your team than 20 or 30? And he goes to me, well, now we changed it to Retired at Thankful. Yeah, you're just thankful at whatever time that you actually retire. Just to have the possibility of retiring, guys, that's actually absolutely key. So if you're in Australia, you're not booked for boot camp, you know what to do. Just go to your back office, get booked for boot camp. There's a whole bunch of us that are flying out for that particular event. And, of course, our director of training, Mark Casetta. So the three of them together, I mean, this training is going to be completely off the hook. And this is the final thing I want to leave you guys with, guys. Literally, you build from event to event to event. Every single person has a defining moment. And usually, the defining moment that I always hear from people is not when they join World Ventures, but it's when World Ventures gets into them. And the best way for World Ventures to get into you is when you go to one of our trainings. That's when you realize the heart of the company. That's when you realize what you're a part of. So imagine if the defining moment is waiting for you and it's right there and it's going to happen to you. And you don't actually overcome certain challenges that you've got in the way to be at that particular event. So you never have your moment. Guess what? Nothing's going to change. So give yourself the gift wherever you are in the world right now. Make sure you get booked for the next training. And I'm just going to let this tell you one piece of advice. So we're now, guys, finishing pretty much the first 6 months of the year, 2016. And the majority of people set goals at the beginning of the year. Most of them give up on their goals by the first month, okay? Some of them still, a few months later actually going, you know what, it's a possibility. And of course, we can make that shift that the second half of the year can finish strong depending on the actions that we do today. So if, let's say, you were to start from scratch, and, it doesn't matter whether you've been around World Ventures for a while, guys, you can have your first day in World Ventures again. What's the one piece of advice, one golden nugget that you would give to someone that they can put in place straight away to make sure the second half of the year is going to be more powerful?
Right, absolutely consistency. And when I talk about consistency, I talk about obviously showing X amount of people on a daily basis, every single day, so 7 days a week. But consistency is also about feeding your mind. So it's listening to the audios, reading the books, doing the affirmations. So consistency in every area of your life. Because if you make it a habit, and sometimes a habit does take 90 days, but if it becomes a habit, let me tell you, this amazing lifestyle is around the corner.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. And we literally got a few more seconds left. So what would it be for you, Colette?
I think the most important thing for me is having the belief. Because once you have the belief in the industry, the network marketing industry, belief in the company, and more importantly, or most importantly, belief in yourself. And again, as Sharon was saying, that's you get from personal development and developing yourself. Absolutely. And once you have that belief, anything is possible.
Well, there you go. So the heart of the company is personal development, which is obviously our trainings. So guys, there you have it. Make the second half of the year a lot more powerful for you. So that way you can finish the year strong. So that you can look back at the end of 2016. And most people, when they're turning around and say, man, I'm glad this year is over, you got to turn around and say, I'm glad this year I pushed hard and I'm grateful for the gifts that I have right now, whether it's new ranks, whether it's new memories, whether it's new people that you've helped, whether it's new stories. It's all within your control, guys. And if you're in Australia, I'll see you at Boot Camp next week. If you're in the UK, I will see you sooner than you think. See you soon.